So my name is Sumani Dash. I'm the managing director of American Friends of HelpAge India. We're a fairly new, still new to the US market, 501(c)(3) that's been set up primarily to mobilize support and raise awareness about the issues facing disadvantaged elders in India. And our primary partner is HelpAge India, which is a 44-year-old organization, does tremendous work on the ground in a variety of interventions to ensure elders with fewer resources are able to live lives of dignity.
Great.
Welcome. Great, Jay, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Manisha. My name is Jay Sehgal, and I represent the Sehgal Foundation in the U.S. We have been working in the rural development in India for the past 21 years now. And our focus is basically on the alleviation of poverty in the rural communities, focusing mainly on agriculture. Our main focus is agriculture, and agriculture doesn't happen without water. So we put a lot of emphasis on water conservation aspects of it. And we are our projects are based on community participation, and a cross-cutting theme for the organization is the women empowerment. And in that aspect, we also realize over the years working in the rural communities that women empowerment doesn't start with the adolescent and adult age, but it actually starts at a very young age where the girls actually go to the schools. And most, as we very well know, most of the girls go to these schools which don't have the basic facilities such as water, toilets, and digital literacy and the life skills education. So we have another program which works on providing those type of facilities in the rural schools in India. So those are some of the key programs for the Sehgal Foundation.
Great, wonderful. I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm Manisha Bharti, the CEO and Global Executive for the US entity of PRATHAM. PRATHAM is an organization working primarily in India, but increasingly in countries around the world, helping children and young people prepare for school, for work, and for life. So today we're here to talk about India Giving Day, and would love to hear from both of you what has interested your organizations in joining India Giving Day's work. So Sumani, let's start with you.
So thank you, Manisha. And this is very exciting, actually, to sort of come in this beginning inaugural India Giving Day. As I mentioned in the introduction, HelpAge India is a very well-known brand that's been around for over 40 years. And a lot of folks in the US may have heard of HelpAge when they were growing up in India. For myself, went door-to-door fundraising as a school-going kid in Delhi for HelpAge. So for me, life has come full circle. But I think there'll be a whole range of people here that may have engaged with HelpAge in similar ways, but perhaps don't know that we now have a US affiliate. And for us to be able to participate in India Giving Day, to be part of this sort of movement to really mobilize philanthropy in a very focused way on India, because we're all here for India's development. It's a very exciting thing to be part of. So we're just excited and look forward to this journey.
Great. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I think the key thing for us is that how we can join hands in the development, in the bringing together communities and bringing together donors and see how we can, because every organization has their own specialty and their own things to do, but many times we don't unite together to do something together. And I think this will give an opportunity to any individual to look at various aspects, instead many times the donor community gets very focused on one particular aspect, but this gives a little broader platform to look at other key organizations. We have 25 wonderful organizations on this for the India Giving Day on this website, and this will be a good opportunity for people to look at, and really I think it's going to be a tremendous learning experience for people to see what other organizations are doing instead of just focusing on what they have been doing in their philanthropic activities over the years. So the key things that we look at, how does it broaden people's aspect into their giving?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to say for us at Pratham, it's a lot of those similar reasons. We're so excited about the fact that we're collaborating. I think a lot of people want to think of us, all of our organizations, as competitive with one another. And I really believe that there's an abundance in our community, which we're very fortunate to have. And each of our organizations has a critical contribution to play. So for those coming new to get introduced to us, get introduced to all of us and figure out where they best align and which mission or sets of missions, because certainly I think India Giving Day gives an opportunity for so many people to get educated about all of the organizations and the needs and the opportunities to stay connected and engaged with India. So definitely lots to be excited for. What is your hope for India Giving Day? Jay, let's start with you this time.
Well, our hope is, of course, to raise funds for the work we do, as well as, I mean, from our donor community to learn larger vision and mission for various other organizations. The goal is, of course, for all of us is to promote our programs on a platform which we have never seen before, such a platform, and promote it aggressively, and in the end, of course, come up with our good amount of resources so we can continue to do the work, impactful work that we are doing in the rural communities.
Great.
So similar to, I guess, that just, I think for people to really look at the whole developmental spectrum in India and not just at that sort of piecemeal focused approach on, oh, I'm only interested in early childhood education or just interested in healthcare and so forth, because there's so many interconnected issues that I think India Giving Day will be a great platform to bring out and to realize that there's, the philanthropy sector in India has really grown and evolved and matured, and there's so many great organizations doing tremendous work on the ground. So of course, for us, we'd love to mobilize resources and really get to individual donors, but also, just raise awareness about the issues facing disadvantaged elders. I just don't think that's an area that gets a lot of attention. But I'm sure that's true for many of the other organizations, perhaps, that will be part of India Giving Day. So much as we can increase the pie, and I think, like Manisha, you mentioned, there's a lot of resources available, and we're fortunate for that, and to just be able to leverage that in a way that benefits across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really excited too that I think for Pratham, we're excited to engage our existing community to get, people understanding and excited about coming together on something new. And then also introducing new audiences to the work of Pratham and our peer organizations. So really excited for what the potential that India Giving Day will hold. If someone is, watching this video and getting introduced to your organization for the first time, what do you think is good for them to know about your work? And is there one story you might like to highlight as, representative of some of the impact that your organization is having? So Jay, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I think it is very difficult to pick one story from the work that we do we are working in 12 states in almost 2,000 villages. But we have quite a few stories in the sense of the women empowerment aspects of it, the women farmers who have very successfully learned trained from the Sehgal Foundation's programs, and now are doing very well in their in that particular aspect. Their income has increased over the years, and they have started other activities from agriculture itself, such as sewing and stitching classes they're not classes, but their own sewing and stitching shops in the villages, as well as beauty parlors and things like that. So these are the results of our key programs in life skills education, along with digital literacy in the schools as well as in the rural communities, with the women farmers who generally work on as laborers in the agriculture in the farms, and they have very little income from that particular aspect. So now they have in that with these type of things available in the community, they have a lot of success stories with the students who have did not have the opportunities, did not have proper schools in the rural communities. Now these students are very aggressive to become police officers, IAS, so that those are impactful stories that the one hears. And it is, as I said, when you're working in such a broad way, 12 states in 2,000 villages and so many districts, is very difficult to pinpoint just one or two stories. There are quite a few, but that's what I would like to say. How do you the satisfaction that brings to us at the end of the day are these type of things that you get information that you get back from the community. So
yeah, wonderful.
For HelpAge, I just do want to highlight the issue that we're dealing with, which is there's 138 million elders in India currently. Those are people over the age of 60, and 90% of these people are outside of the formal organized sector. So that basically translates into not much in terms of a social safety net. And in a very vulnerable stage of their life, that's where people find themselves with very little resources, recourse, family support, with the out-migration trends in India, etc. These have all been factors that really impact the quality of life. And HelpAge currently reaches about 2 million elders in a year in 26 states through various project offices, over 2,500 villages. We have interventions in healthcare through a mobile healthcare initiative. We do elder self-help groups and old age homes and cataract surgeries, a whole range of intervention. And each of these, like I said, are interconnected because there's so many issues that really impact each other. But one of the interventions and one of the case stories of a beneficiary, somebody who's come in contact with HelpAge, whose life's really been transformed, is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Paswan in Bihar. And he is 91 years old, and he lost his livelihood, his cattle, etc., during the Kosi floods that happened in 2008. So he was sort of left without much in terms of recourse, in terms of disaster that struck at the time. So HelpAge, was sort of doing this disaster recovery work, etc., and they started looking into long-term rehabilitation. So that's when we connected with Mr. Paswan, and he became part of an elder self-help group that HelpAge had just initiated at the time. And he was given a loan to purchase a sewing machine. And that really turned into something that he became really skilled at, and it became his craft and his livelihood. And I was just really, enthused to see this year because we had the India 75th anniversary, and he took up, as a project, he sewed 450 Indian flags in a 7-day period. I mean, he's 91 years old, right? You don't expect somebody like that to be spending all of their time and energy, but this was his way of paying tribute to his country, to really also signify what HelpAge's intervention meant to his life and his livelihood and his dignity. So I think, those stories of empowerment and how elders that perhaps were just, left sort of to their own devices, and their connection with HelpAge, how that really helped them rise and gain independence, gain empowerment, and really that sense of dignity that I think we all, at the end of the day, strive for. That's where I think the HelpAge mission resonates. And I think with so many of us that have elderly parents, grandparents, ingrained family connections in India, but hopefully a lot of folks here are well resourced and they don't have to worry about these things. But knowing that there are a vast swath of very vulnerable people that need help, and HelpAge is a great organization to achieve that. So I'm hoping to bring some of this to the fore through India Giving Day.
Yeah. Sumani, I think what really resonates both with what you said, Jay, and what you described is about this idea of giving individuals dignity, right? Opportunity as well as dignity through that opportunity. And I think that's probably one of the things that ties all of the 26 organizations together, that it's really about helping individuals or communities and really the country achieve its full potential. I'm reminded of, I was just in India over the summer and got to visit one of our healthcare training centers for young people, and got to meet these 5 young women who had just completed healthcare training. It was, in this case, a 3-month program. And I asked these young women, what brought them to the program, because they had traveled very far from their homes to come to this residential program. And they said, we're part of our families. We're young, we're able, we're women, but we have families typically of 5 or 6 people often. And each of them started with a household income of about 5,000 rupees a month, right? That's less than $2 a day, or roughly about $2. And they went through this 3-month program and got to learn how to be bedside assistants. So sort of nursing type, but lower entry level, and becoming bedside assistants. And to the person, all 5 of them at the end of the program had graduated and received placements in home health care, each of them starting with rupees 17,000 per month. So they had quintupled their household income in 3 months. And when asked, what are you going to do with this influx of funds now that you and your family are going to have access to? And they talked about, taking care of their parents who had health issues. They talked about, educating their younger siblings. One of them talked about wanting to go and be a full-fledged nurse. So just the ability to unlock this full potential of individuals, and then certainly the community as a country as a whole, is what inspires me about what I think India Giving Day can do.
It's really the multiplier effect, right? You might look at one person that your program might have affected, but through that one person, it's really the whole community, the whole family, etc. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
Sumani, I noticed that HelpAge was one of 10 organizations recently awarded a designation of top 10 Indian NGOs for corporate social responsibility. And I'm curious, what is it that, whether it's companies in India or individuals in the US, what attracts your donor base to your mission? Why do they come to HelpAge? What do you know about the individuals that come to support the organization?
Well, that's a great question. And, in India, so far, HelpAge has really mobilized most, I'd say over 95% of its funding has come from within India over the last 4 decades. So this is really the first time we're trying to, reach out outside of India and trying to see if we can attract donors. Like I said initially, we, do have a lot of folks here that may have interacted with HelpAge in some capacity when they were younger. So I think I meet people all the time that's like an aha moment that, oh, I remember doing that when I was a kid. And, it's something that for us, and I remember when I went door to door, for me was, you're doing something for your elders. It's like doing something for your grandparents. And it's also for us, that program really helps facilitate a regard for your elders and to think beyond yourself. And I think from an individual perspective, I think there's a lot of folks within the Indian American diaspora that want to give back. They perhaps don't know how, or I know there might be trust issues with, how does my money get spent, etc. So we'd love to be able to kind of tell our story of how the, donations, etc. that we get here, how do they really go back to India and impact those individual people like Mr. Paswan in Bihar and make that really profound difference to their lives. And we've been very fortunate on the corporate side as well, that we've received quite a bit of funding from, and that's part of the CSR law that India passed, I think has been really helpful in, in a very structured way to channel funds towards the NGO sector that perhaps wasn't happening to that extent before. But certainly on the individual level, there's a lot more, I think, that we can do to really connect with folks here that I think genuinely care about the vulnerable, the disadvantaged, people that really need help and support. and we can, make an impact beyond ourselves and look beyond our immediate family concerns and lives, and see how to contribute in a very substantive way.
Yeah. Jay, how about you in terms of the supporters of the Sehgal Foundation?
Yeah, I think the our key aspect has been bringing impact in the communities, and that's what drives our CSR program in India, because we work very closely, and our intent is to work with the CSR as a partners and not as just simply as our donors, because it's how to get them also involved in the projects we do. We work very closely with agricultural communities, and we have quite a few our CSR sponsors in India who are agri-based sponsors and agri-based companies, and they send their agronomists, and so it's a building this partnership of working together instead of just taking the donation and doing the work. Then we are to also very closely work with aligning the mission, what the organizations are trying to do, and how we can also continue to accomplish our mission. We very clearly make it very clear to our partners that we don't want to become contractors. We are rural development professionals. We are there to make an impact. Organization has its own vision and mission, and so does they have a vision for their corporate social responsibility. So we try to match each other's visions and missions, and to make sure that we carry forward the work and create an impact in the rural communities. I think they're getting more hands, because many times we feel that we have all the expertise in-house, so we don't need expertise from outside. But the resources the corporates in India have are tremendous. How we can use those resources, how we can ask them to come and guide us, or how we can work together. And not just that, and also the very big part of our whole projects is the communities, how we can also learn from the communities as well, and how we can so it's bringing everybody together as a pool. And that just doesn't mean only our partners who are actually giving us financial support, but also looking at other nonprofits where we can learn, because our key aspect is not to consider the Sehgal Foundation as a know-it-all, or we consider it as more of an open source type of an organization, where one can come and learn from what we do, and also we also share our knowledge and also learn from others what they can. So pulling all these resources together, that I think that brings a larger impact in working together. I mean, that's our key focus. How do we bring everybody together? There's no one organization can do everything. That's the main thing. And how the key aspect, the success comes when we bring people together, bring people from different fields together, and share our knowledge with others. I think that's what the key aspect for us as an organization in India. In the U.S., it's very clear we are raising funds for Transform Lives One School at a Time programs, and the key aspect, again, I think when Sumani mentioned, is that how do you create trust, and that's the biggest. How do you make sure my money goes towards that particular project? So we work very closely with the donor community in the U.S. as well, and as a matter of fact, our founder Suri and Eda have set aside a certain amount of money to just match the funds. If anybody gives $1, not the Sehgal Foundation, but that money they set aside a long time ago. But then in addition to that, any donor that gives $1, they match it dollar to dollar, to make sure there's a trust building. And we invite our donors in the U.S. to visit the projects in India, visit these projects, go to the schools which they have very kindly funded, and see the impact that is making. I think that's how we have been able to build quite a trust with our donor community in the U.S. as well as in India. So I think involvement is very important for us.
Great. So any last message you want to leave with whoever might be watching this video, someone who's interested in learning about India Giving Day, the India Philanthropy Alliance, or your organization, maybe just any last message you want to leave? Sumani? Oh, Jay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Please.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So go ahead.
Oh no, no. The message is very clear. I think this coming together is a success. It's very well has been said, and this is a great platform to bring unite. There's no in social development. There's no proprietary information. There's no proprietary work. It is how do we bring together the organization, and that is the key thing that we are trying to do with the India Giving Day, India Philanthropy Alliance. How do you can become, because it is there's so much waste of money goes into recreating a wheel or redeveloping the wheel. No, it's learn from each other how we can expedite the work that we want to do, and that happens when we bring key organizations, key people together, and learn from each other, and we take our vision, help each other develop, accomplish our visions and missions, and that is the key message for the India Giving Day. Come to this platform during this 1 week time frame and learn from what every other organizations are doing, and support as much as you can in a wholehearted way, because your funds will go towards the development and will go towards the work that is being carried out in India.
For us, I'm not sure what success will look like for India Giving Day. I know this is an inaugural. We're obviously all hoping that it will mobilize a lot of resources and kind of help with each of our fundraising for the year. But to me, the fact that 27 organizations have managed to come together on one platform to just talk about India's development and to showcase all of the amazing work these different organizations are doing. The India Philanthropy Alliance was already, I think, a very innovative concept that I'd been watching for a while. But now to see this sort of come together and bring in more nonprofits into the fold, to me, that itself is a mark of success. So obviously, we'd love to, get the word out and make sure that all of our supporters of each organization know that this is happening. And hopefully seeing that collaborative approach that different nonprofits are taking will really also galvanize our, donors that perhaps have been sitting on the fence wondering whether, they should support an organization in India, etc., to really see this like show of strength. To me, that's what it is. Show of strength for a cause that's very dear to all of our hearts, which is India's development. Mm-hmm. And irrespective of what sector each of us works in, our heart is in India. I think you take the Indian out of India, but you just cannot. It's just not possible to do, the love for the country and for our roots. And I think this concept of India Giving Day hopefully will really resonate with anybody who has that love. And you don't have to be Indian to have that or share that love for India. So I just hope that it will get folks to think about India and India's development and join us in whatever way that you can.
Great.